Hey folks, Craig Danger, vinyl record player. Oh, back again. We're talking about several reasons why 1971 was the best year for music ever. Now, yeah, I know what you're thinking. Aren't we bumping up against 72? Oh, and 70? Oh, yes. Two really body blows on the concept that 71 might be the best year for music ever. It was difficult for me to pull the evidence together, and that's simply because I didn't have a theme. But once I kind of took a look at what was released this year, I was like, yeah, the theme, friends, is quality. Oh, if just taking a look at what is available in 71 as far as releases, and even as far as releases that I own, you're going to have a tough time finding the kind of quality you find in 71 in other years. So it's jam-packed, my friends, and whenever you're going into a jam-packed situation, you're with the danger. The only suggestion I can make is buckle up. And we're back. Of course, we're talking about 1971, and like I say, the theme is quality, and I have got a big old stack of records to show today, talking about 71. Wow. I didn't realize how many records were released in 71 that maybe they weren't groundbreaking and they're kind of seen as historical records. But wow, you want to talk about like my favorites, really of all time. Just some legendary albums in the world of the danger, and possibly soon your world as well. But you know what? Let's stop jabbering. Let's talk about the first part of 1971. First off, this was one that I almost forgot, but I'm not going to forget because I'm here. Gotta be What's Going On. Obviously, we're talking about basically the first real soul concept album. Little compact disc appearance on the old Danger channel. But yeah, wow. This album remains kind of really amazing. I just actually kind of re-listened to it the other day, and wow, it remains a stunner. This is kind of recognized as the first real soul concept album, and you know what? I hear it, and the groove remains amazing in all throughout the record. And of course, this was a natural. Berry Gordy was like, "No, we can't release this. It's too serious. It's too worldly. It's too political. We shouldn't put it out." Marvin Gaye's like, "Well, if we're not going to release it, then I'm not going to do anything else." So Barry's like, okay, goes on to sell 1 billion copies. I made a shirt of it. I mean, you can't mention 1971 without mentioning really one of the soul albums of the decade. What's Going On, Marvin Gaye. This, of course, version features a Detroit mix as well. So there's 2 different mixes of the album. Both are good, but that original mix is obviously where the action is. One of the best moments of 71 that, of course, could contribute to 1971 being the best year in music ever. I think kind of one of the most important parts, and that of course would be some of these 60s bands that did not dissolve coming out with bona fide 5-alarm classics. And of course, when we're talking about 5-alarm classics, we can only begin with one of the best bands of the 60s and would still have a lot of juice left. And I'm of course talking about the Rolling Stones, and I could only be speaking of Sticky Fingers. Obviously, cover by Andy Warhol, very famous. Apparently the Zipper, I never have had a physical copy of this one, but apparently the Zipper was a key damager of many people's record collections throughout the years. But you know what? You cannot hate on this album. If you like the Stones, this could perhaps be their best single album ever released. I mean, we're talking Bitch, we're talking Brown Sugar, we're talking Moonlight Mile. There's just so much. Wild Horses. It's magical. It's a magical album by the Stones, and certainly again, they after Get Your Yayas out in 70, and of course Let It Bleed in 69. These guys were on a hefty roll, and wow, what a magical album this one is. Like I say, I still don't have a physical copy, but it's always one of those things that I'm on the eye out for. Problem is, you're not going to get one for cheap. So let's talk about another band that, of course, had the bulk of their experience and really success in the 60s. We're talking about the Kinks. Well, the Kinks had continued to roll despite being banned, really, from the United States for a good portion of time in terms of touring. The Kinks, Muswell Hillbillies. This is a really good album. 71. This is really one of the last sort of non-soundtrack, sort of non-play rock opera. Ray Davies, after this, got really deeper into sort of creating rock opera style epics. And this one is not a bad way to go out. I mean, obviously you had Power Man and the Ape Man. Oh, really, really good albums. But this one I think is kind of, this is the final of that kind of really classic sort of early 70s period for the Kinks. And obviously Arthur was in there. I think that's from 69. But yeah, this is kind of the final before things start to get a little bit, I don't want to say pretentious, but they do get a little bit mixed. And a lot of the albums after that were kind of touch and go. So Muswell Hillbillies, ooh, another classic. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for watching. Don't forget to like. Definitely don't forget to subscribe. Like I say, it's been really awesome over the past couple of months. We've been building up the channel a little bit. It's always good to see. Good to see I'm not just mumbling to myself and my phone. I mean, that's makes me feel a little more sane, if you know what I mean. One more thing in the comments, let me know what album was really monstrous and classic and perhaps remains classic for you right now. Well, I mean, not much to say about this one. Obviously The Who, this, I don't think you'll find any publication or most Who fans who won't say really that this is their best album ever. Who's Next from 71. Not really much to say about it, except wow, a bit of a classic, kind of changed, kind of almost invented classic rock in a sense, although obviously that's not true. But, you know, really, again, I'm not a big Who fan, but it's pretty clear that there's some incredible quality on this one. So the Who's Next? Oh, look at this. How about Untitled? Well, everyone knows it as Led Zeppelin 4. I was reading on Discogs. I'm like, Untitled? What the F is Untitled? Led Zeppelin 4. I mean, many people say, oh, best Zeppelin album ever. Again, I've heard Zeppelin so much. It has been murdered in my mind by classic rock radio that it's just hard for me to hear anymore. But, you know, if you know Zeppelin, yeah, you know Led Zeppelin 4, released in 1971. Oh, sad end to an era, really. That would be the Steppenwolf on ABC Dunhill. This, of course, is For Ladies Only, their last album for that label before John Kay goes solo, a little bit of a membership change, and really they were kind of never really the same band after this one. This one's good. I'm not going to say it's the best album ever made, but it is very good, and certainly For Ladies Only is rather proggy, which is quite crazy. But, oh, Steppenwolf, still kicking in 71, but unfortunately, like I say, last album for them on ABC Dunhill. A little bit unfortunate. Let's talk about some more classic Rocky vibes. How about Nantucket Sleigh Ride, the second LP from Mountain? Obviously, there is and it's not on this LP, but there apparently is a 35 or 25 minute version of Nantucket Sleigh Ride, which I have not had the pleasure of hearing. The version on this is about 5 minutes and 46 seconds. But again, Mountain, this is peak period Mountain, and Leslie West, obviously a big ripper. Wow, classic stuff from 71. And then, of course, second LP from Cactus. Ooh, you want to talk rockin'? We've been talking about rockin', but one way or another is, again, another one of those albums that never really sold a bunch. But wow, is it good? Yes, it's good. If you know Cactus. This, I have heard Cactus, the first album, the self-titled, and then, of course, this one. This one is also very, very good. And, of course, what can we be talking about in 71 when we're talking about really sort of fantastic records and sort of entering a new era, I think. I'm not sure if the recording equipment got better or what happened, but all of a sudden we start getting live albums. And, of course, I don't think you can talk about 71 without talking about this big dog. How about the big dog of live albums? A double LP, obviously the Almond Brothers live at Fillmore East, remains kind of their masterwork. Certainly, you know, if you're an Almonds fan, you know they probably have 39 live albums. But this is the one that kind of broke them. They did have two albums beforehand, obviously Idlewild South and their debut, which I believe is self-titled. I'm not 100%. The debut is really good. Actually, there's a really great compilation of the two albums that came out after this called Beginnings that I actually own. It's fantastic. It's just basically the first two albums combined together in one package. I think I got it for like $2, which is crazy. But this album, I mean, obviously, Mountain Jam, there's like a 26-minute version of Mountain Jam. Statesboro Blues on this is just, Whippin' Post, I think. Yeah, Whippin' Post is good. It's all good, friends. This is the Almond Brothers at their absolute peak. This is before Dwayne passes. This is before Barry passes. This is really the album that really brought them from relative obscurity to really fantastical cocaine-fueled fame. And yeah, wow. Ooh, and did these brothers look cool? I think they do. I think these brothers look pretty 1971 to me. So Almond Brothers live at Fillmore East, a classic live one from 71 rather. Oh, you know, I haven't mentioned Traffic. And I know I should have been mentioning Traffic in 69, 70. But, you know, hey, how about Welcome to the Canteen? A little live action from Traffic. Kind of really gives you a nice look at what Traffic sounded like live. It's just a single LP, not too crazy. And yeah, I think I got this one, what, for $3? 3 bones? That's a deal, friends. That's a deal. Oh, one of my favorite albums of all time. With a unique package. Free live, of course. You got the stamps. Oh, look at this. Look at this on the back. Is that? Oh, it's an envelope. It's an envelope here. Oh, the clever folks at, what do you think, maybe Island Records? Not 100% sure. What I do know about this is prime free. This is amazing. This is Paul Kossoff, maybe on less drugs than he later would be on because, he is ripping. Sounds fantastic. Paul Rodgers, always epic of voice, but really sounds hungry on this record. Free live. Again, I think Free is frankly one of the most underrated British bands ever. And that's mainly because Bad Company just got all the hits and all the fun. But Free live. Another classic live LP from 71. I mean, we got to talk about my favorite live LP of all time. It can only be Aretha, live at Fillmore West. Not much to say. The band on this is fantastic. You got Bernard Purdie on drums. You got Billy Preston on keys. And he's just ripping the keys throughout this. Ray Charles makes a guest appearance. The absolutely ultimate version of If You Can't Be With the One You Love, Love the One You're With, in my opinion. It's Aretha. Prime Aretha in 71 at Fillmore West. Just a fantastic album. And yeah, this is something that, I don't know, I think everyone has to have in their collection. Even if you're, if you're not a big Aretha fan, I don't know what to say. You need help. You need perhaps some musical therapy. I don't know what to say. But whatever the case, this one is a scorcher of a live LP. And of course, you have the second. King Curtis also was playing, but he kind of opened for her as well as provided some sax. This is a fun little album. This isn't a must-have by any means, but if you like King Curtis, who played with Delaney and Bonnie, did session work on many a LP, this is also fun. Taken from actually the same gig at the Fillmore West. So King Curtis live, another good one. So yeah, since we're talking about, we've kind of moved into soul. Obviously, this one is well known. If you don't have this one, maybe you're not a funk or a soul person. It doesn't matter. What you need to hear on this one specifically, if you ever have enjoyed the sound of a guitar solo, it could only be actually the title track on this particular jam. Absolute scorcher of a 10-minute solo. And I know you're like, that's too much for me, Craig. It isn't, but it isn't. Really, Eddie Hazel just ripping it. And you know what? I listened to this album today. It's all great. It's all really foundational in terms of rock, in terms of funk, in terms of rap, in terms of modern pop. I mean, this is just, in my opinion, this sold buckets at the time, but now try to find an original copy of this one under $100. I don't think you're going to do it, but this one, of course, is a re-release. Fantastic. Maggot Brain by Funkadelic. And you know what? Funny thing about 71, for many years, in the later 60s, and it was more the later 60s up until about really 71, possibly 72, there were a lot of bands who released not one, but 2 LPs per year. And for me, 71 in terms of soul was chef's kiss, friends, in terms of releasing not one, but 2 classics in a year. I'm just going to go through those right now. Obviously, we know that 71 could only be the year of Stax and, of course, Isaac Hayes. Isaac Hayes with this double LP. Really a fun LP. I'm not sure that it's a super must-have. It is a really fun soundtrack. But again, it is a soundtrack. There are a lot of more score-type jams on it. But this is the one that broke them. This is the one that got huge. Won an Oscar. Also, I think it was nominated for a Grammy, but did not win a Grammy. But yeah, what to say about Isaac Hayes and Shaft? Except that brother goes ahead and he releases another double album in the form of Black Moses, which is also a fantastic album. Wish I had the original. This is, of course, a repress, so it doesn't have the classic, full body shot of Isaac Hayes as Black Moses, sort of, almost in a crucified. Anyway, it's a sight to behold, friends. Doesn't matter. This man puts out 2 double albums in a year. This was Isaac Hayes on Stax in 1971. And then, of course, if you ever watch the channel, you know my love for Jerry Butler, my man. I think this is right in the peak of his peak period, which in my opinion is basically like 71 to 74. Really magical stuff. This, of course, Sings Assorted Sounds. Jerry opens up a bit of a songwriter's project in Chicago, brings a bunch of kids together, and they just start writing songs. They put out this album. Classic Special Memory is kind of a killer on this one. And then, of course, the Sagittarius Movement. Obviously, another, in my opinion, really classic album by Jerry. And yeah, this one has, of course, really his last big hit, which I think went to about 21 or 24, and that's Ain't Understandin' Mellow. But you know what? Another good one. You can get this one for both of the Jerry Butler albums. If you're paying a lot more than $7, what you doing? Nobody is buying these albums, and the problem with nobody is they all fools. All of these nobodies. Well, whatever the case, get it. If you see it, you should get it. It's a good one. In my opinion, this year, how about Gladys Knight? How about releasing, in my opinion, her best song ever, outside of perhaps the original version of I Heard It Through the Grapevine, which is all church, no birch. That's not a saying, so don't ever use that around people, because they will be scared of you. At any rate, If I Were Your Woman, classic, great album. They do an awesome cover of Feelin' All Right, amongst many others. And then, of course, in my opinion, their best album in that Motown period, definitely Ovation. Another real superior album. This is sort of signifying the end of the Motown reign for Gladys, and they obviously would move on to Buddha from here. But 2 really amazing albums in a year. And then what do we got? More Motown action. How about the debut from The Undisputed Truth? And then, of course, Face to Face with the Truth. Oh, that's 2 classic Norman Whitfield produced albums one year. Yep, that was happening in 71. And of course, this would be the Mark 1 of The Undisputed Truth. After about 73, they would drop a couple of female members, pick up a couple of female members, but doesn't matter. These 2 albums are definitely worth listening to. Really classic stuff, and actually a couple, I'm not sure if these are streamable now, but there was a long period of time where, frankly, they were not. I think they are now. So yeah, The Undisputed Truth with 2 hot LPs in 71. Getting back to favorites here. You know what, it's really thanks to the Vinyl Monkey, frankly, who clued me in on this beautiful album. How about, For God's Sake, Give More Power to the People by the Shy Lights. This is a cover-to-cover classic. I've said it before. This album, of course, is most famous for their legendary hit, Have You Seen Her? Later to be covered by MC Hammer, oddly enough. But wow, this is a cover-to-cover classic. And if not my favorite, then my second favorite, but it usually is around the top. This is just such a good Eugene record, the mastermind behind the Shy Lights. Always legendary stuff. But in 71, he was having fun. Corner to corner, every song on this album is absolutely classic. This is not one you see very often. And you know what? I think people were afraid of the boots and the sweater on old Ben E in 1971. But you know what? They shouldn't be, because this album, in my opinion, definitely I think his best long player album. Again, Benny was not necessarily known for his albums, but this one in 71, which sold a total of butt kiss. Wow, really, really fun album, and great cover of Take Me to the Pilot, the Elton John song, a great cover of Into the Mystic, and then there's some Benny originals like This Is Goodbye. The heart breaks listening to Beginning of It All from Ben E. King from 71. Another good one. And then what do we got? We got, to close out the soul portion, we got Al Green Gets Next to You. This, of course, would signify the beginning of Al's reign, kind of as really a king of 1970 soul. This one, of course, has, the title track, Can't Get Next to You, but also Tired of Being Alone, which I believe was a number 11 hit. But after that, it would be all Al. And I don't know, I'm not going to say that there's going to be a 1972 episode, but Al may indeed be part of that. So that's what we have for soul. All those two LPs, but sometimes just one. Doesn't matter. Wow, what a year. A lot of these albums are just simply favorites. Classic. But you know what? We'll turn the page. We'll go to country rock. How about another favorite? I know, this is a completely hot take that pretty much everyone will be like, you're a fool, Craig. And you might be. I might be. That's possible. Of course, the Flying Burrito Brothers. This is my favorite album by them, actually. Rick Roberts, of course, replacing Graham Parsons. And I think this is one of their most complete albums. At this point, they had kind of shed a lot of the sort of country vibes, and we're kind of trying to do more of a rock, pop sort of aspect, but I think it's fantastic. You got, of course, Sneaky Pete on the front. And it's all really, really great stuff. One of my favorites. And this one's always underrated. Shouldn't be. How about the New Riders of the Purple Sage? Key and I think important portion of this record is, frankly, you got Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead on pedal steel on a good portion of this, actually. Really good stuff. Got the classic 1970s sort of pick. In a San Francisco house. I've been in one of those, and that's pretty much what they look like. New Riders. And then who comes back? Who comes back in 71? Oh, wow, this one. Records this in the back of his farm in what he called the 3-track shack. And this record is just anthems and just like, it's just ramscrabble. Is that a word? Doesn't matter. Really fantastic stuff. Link gets back to his roots, and it's just sort of a rollin', tumblin' country rock sort of epic experience. I recommend this to everyone. Everyone should have this album. Link Wray, the self-titled from 71. Woo! Well, this thing doesn't end either. You want to talk about my favorites? And also, I think, an album that they never really made again. Little Feat, their debut from 1971. Now, if you've ever heard this record, and I've said this a million times, but I'll say it again. The fact is that you think if you can listen to the Rolling Stones' Exile on Main Street and then listen to this and tell me that the Stones did not hear this record, then you're crazy. Then Craig Danger pronounces you completely bonkers, because wow, this does sound a little bit like the Rolling Stones' younger brothers getting in the mix there. And woo, this is such a great album. Snakes on Everything. The original version of Willin', which is just so good. Oh, Ry Cooder making a guest on this. 1971, Little Feat, the debut. Woo! Well, I tell you, that was a lot of records, but we just have a few more to go. So if you're still here, hey, like, subscribe. Thank you for being here. You're awesome. But you know what? We're continuing. We'll do a little bit of folk, but some faves. Again, Brighter Later, Nick Drake. My favorite album by him from 71. Really fantastic stuff. And we're just going to go ahead and end this with a super classic. How about Blue? Blue from Joni Mitchell. I think it's kind of widely seen as her best LP. I'm going to agree. Carrie, California. It's cover to cover. There's nothing bad on this. And certainly, one of the, I think, legendary albums coming out during that time. And that's, again, from 71. So this, my friends, this giganto pile is just really the beginning. If you actually take a look, obviously there's a lot more that I've missed, But this was my attempt to really, give you a good look at what 71 produced. And like I say, there's no magical wild new genres or strange events, etc., etc. There's not as many, but I'm telling you, in terms of quality, it's really, really tough, pound for pound, to beat 1971. So, thank you for tuning in to Craig Danger, vinyl record player. Like, subscribe, and share this video with a buddy if he wants to see a crazy fool talking about records. And otherwise, you know what? I'm just going to have to see you on the next one.